This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the club training session on template reports. Before I go ahead and get started, if you can just confirm that you can hear my voice and see my screen, please. Wonderful.
I can.
So welcome. Thank you. Welcome. My name is Lexi McCormick-Smith. I will be running this training session today on template reports, which is ultimately the replacement for web reports as we know it today. Throughout the presentation, we will go ahead and mute everyone just to make sure that there is not background noise. However, if you have questions throughout the presentation, please go ahead and either type them in the chat, or you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask questions at any point. We want to make sure that this is as interactive as possible. So today, I am ultimately going to cover an overview of what template reports is in the new platform. I will take you through the updates and enhancements from web reports as you know it today. We will do a demonstration. There will be a couple of takeaways for you that you can do now as we prepare for launch, and then we will leave time for feedback and questions. As we move into an overview, it's important to understand what features and functionality will be available in template reports come launch on January 6th. The first is that you will be able to view reports or run them on demand. You can schedule reports for delivery to your email or to the portal. You can add and remove columns from reports. You can filter reports. You can manage and update your existing schedules. And you can also schedule reports for other employees within your club or your club admin. Again, similar in nature to what web reports can do, but again, a little bit different and enhanced from what you know today. As we look at the updates and enhancements, the first thing that we would like to call out is that the tool that we have selected to do the template reports is very performant. It will provide you with real-time data access, and it also allows us room for growth within the tool. With that, we are able to provide for you additional file format options as well as delivery locations. A larger variety of reports are available, which I will go through in a little bit. And we also can provide more data fields and filters now than what you currently know in web reports. One thing to note as we begin looking at the template reports is not all of the reports that you will see in the template reports are a one-for-one from what you know today. For example, something such as the club roster will be available, but we have added a number of data columns as well as a number of filters to give you more flexibility and reports that you can create from that data set. As we look at scheduling or sharing template reports, I just want to let everybody know that we will allow for the sending of these reports to individuals who are not registered as admin in Admin Portal. I just want to make sure that you know that as you are able to share the web reports today, you will continue to be able to do that with the template reports in the new platform. We simply want to make you aware that the administrator, whether it be the club or association, is responsible for the distribution of the reports and ultimately ensuring that the data you're sharing is in a compliant manner. We know that a number of you have handicap chairs that might need reports delivered to them, and we just want to make sure that you are really aware of who you are sending your club's data to. Before I go ahead and get into the demo, are there any questions at this time? Okay, so with that, today I will cover template reports, my scheduled reports, and then my reports, all new features available within the admin portal. So I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to log in, and I'm logging in as a club admin for GAP, and I'm going to go ahead and pick the Huntsville Club because I have access to both. When I log into admin portal, you will see across the top that there is a report option in the center. You will go ahead and click on that to access the template reports. You will notice on the reports tab that there are ultimately 3 sub-tabs, which are my reports, scheduled reports, and template reports. I'm going to go ahead and start with template reports, which gives me a listing of all of the available reports that I can interact with. As I had said before, these reports are not necessarily a one-for-one of what is in web reports. as we have added a number of reports to support the new WHS data that's available. So there will be a number of reports available here that do not currently exist in web reports. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to go ahead and we are going to interact with the roster report, which, as you know today, is called the club roster. When I click view, you will notice that it will expand and it will provide for me all of the available filters that I can interact with. All of the reports have what is known as the columns to display filter. And what this does is it shows you all of the available columns that are in this report, and then you can add and remove as you would like or to build a report that best meets your business needs. You can see for this report that it defaults to a subset of the available data columns, but anything that you wish to add in, you can do so simply by clicking on the data field and moving it on over. So in this example, I'm going to add both golfer status and golfer status date. When I click OK, those columns will save, and then I can continue to interact with the remainder of my filters. To begin, I'm just going to go ahead and click Submit, which will open this report in a new window. And you will see that the report will generate for me. And in the upper left-hand corner, you will see that I have my association logo in association with the USGA. And then if I, as a club admin, have added my logo to Admin Portal, it will appear here in the right-hand corner of the screen. You will notice as we look at this that you have your GIN number, your local number, your golfer name, and then all of the other data fields that you have selected, both golfer status and status date being here in the center, which we have added. From here, I can continue to page through my report. As you will notice in the bottom left-hand corner, it shows you which page you were on, as well as the date and time that the report was run. Again, because you are accessing real-time data, we have put a footer on each of the reports so you know the date and time that you have pulled that data to interact with it. Again, you can then, up in this toolbar at the top, one of the things you can do is you can export. When you click on the export, you will notice that there are a number of available features or new file export types. And all you do is give the file a name. So I will call it Lexi's roster report. And for this purpose, I'll stick with the PDF and I will click OK. Oop, doesn't like the apostrophe. The file will download and you will notice that I now have a PDF that is formatted to the width of a page for me to print or to save or to download, again, whatever best meets my needs. I can also come in here and immediately print a report. Again, you have options of the format as well as the page range. So if you want only the first page, or if you want the first 5 pages, or you want the entire report, again, you have that flexibility here to go ahead and print. So as I look at this report, I can then go back to Admin Portal and I can continue to interact. One of the things that I want to call your attention to is you can run the roster report for any of the selected revision dates and bring in an updated handicap index. So if I don't want to run this report for the current revision, I can select the date calendar or the date picker, and I can go back and run it as of December 1st. Now populating with a different revision date, again, when I click Submit, a window will open, and the handicap indexes will be updated and be the current index for all golfers in my club as of December 1st. All right, so again, I will pause here to see if there are any questions that have come in.
Yes, we do have one question, and that is, can reports be portrait and landscape?
So for that question, are you looking in terms of printing or interacting? So let's see. So when you print this to a PDF, it will automatically default to landscape. So let's see if there are more options. Because we are looking to fit to the width of one page. So I would say landscape will be your option.
All right, we do have a couple more questions here, one of which is, when exporting a report, is there an option to only print the header on the first page?
When you print a PDF, yes, the header will only print on the first page.
And then also when you run a report with a date that is different than today, can that date selected be shown on the report?
So that's a great call out. That is something that, as you can see, is not currently being done, but is something that we can add to our list of requested enhancements and certainly makes sense. So I will take note of that and take that back to the team.
And then also, can you save something to other than PDF, as well as how about when you download to Excel?
Sure. So if you want to download this to Excel, again, you click the export button, and then in the selected format, you will simply click Excel, and then it gives you the option of which Excel version you would like, as well as a format. And when you click OK, it will go ahead and download for you. And again, you will have all of the information available to you now in an Excel document instead of a PDF. So again, just to note, the download options are PDF, HTML, Excel, text, RTF, XML, and then the PostScript as well as the page report. One thing I will note as well, as there are also expanded options when we get into scheduling a report that I will show you in just a few minutes. All right, these are great questions.
Also, when printing the form to Excel, can you make it a portrait report?
So when you export to Excel, you have full Excel capabilities then, so absolutely. You can customize and make the report formatted however you would like if you download it into Excel.
Also, one is, are you able to get a handicap index for a past date?
Yes, you are. So to do that, on this revision date filter, when you select the calendar icon, you can select any date because with WHS, revisions will be happening daily. Any date that you pick will show the index for your golfers for that date. Great question.
Okay, that looks to be all the questions as of now.
All right. So with that, these are great questions, as I've said. I'm going to move into the scheduling. If there are any additional questions, certainly do keep them coming. So I've showed you how you can view a report. You'll notice one of the other options available is to schedule a report. When I click on schedule, I will be prompted to create the customized schedule that I want delivered to me. So you will start by doing a customized schedule name. So again, I'm going to do Lexi's roster report, and I will select next. At which point I will have all of the filters, and I can go ahead and set up the filters how I want the report to be delivered to me. So when I go into columns to display, again, I can add and remove any columns that I do or do not want to see on the report. So for this, I'm going to remove date of birth. I will click OK. Club status, I will leave all of that the same, but I'm going to go ahead and pick today. So that way, every time this report runs, it provides me the indexes for today. And when I'm happy with my filter selections, I will go ahead and click next. This is where I can add the email addresses that I want the report delivered to. To do so, I will click new, and I will go ahead and type in the email address. So I'm going to do lexi@lexi.com, and I can also carbon copy other members of my club or blind carbon copy, again, simply by adding them. So matt@matt.com, and then I will update the subject, and I'm going to call this daily roster report, and that will be the name of the report that is delivered to me. I can then decide if I want to attach a PDF, an Excel file, or both. I'm going to go ahead and attach both, and I'm going to pick the XLSX file. When I'm happy with that, I will click OK, and you will notice that the distribution list is then added to my email. When I'm happy with the email distribution, I will go ahead and click next, and this is where I can pick the time zone that I want the report delivered in. It will default to the time zone of your association. So because I'm in the Eastern time zone, that is where it is defaulting. And then I have the option to either run this task immediately, which will deliver it immediately. I can run it at a specific time. So if this is a report that you want to run on the 31st of the month, you can go ahead and select that here. Or you can go and run this task periodically, which is the most common type that will be used. This is where you can select if you want the report run daily, which you can see every how many days or every weekday, and then at what time, again, based on the time zone that you've selected up above. You can also select weekly, which will allow you to pick certain days of the week. So for this example, I will select Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I will run it at 6 a.m. When I'm happy, I will go ahead and click finish, and you will get the confirmation message that your schedule has completed. Once the schedule has completed, you can move to My Scheduled Reports, where you can then see the reports that you have scheduled. So again, as we look here, you will see the description, the frequency, so it's running every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the time, the format, and the delivery. So when I go in here now, there are ultimately three options of what I can do. If I no longer want to view a report, I can go ahead and click delete. By doing so, it will remove any future runs of that report. It will not impact any reports that have been delivered to me. I can then go in and I can click view, which will run the report with the filters that I've established and generated for you. So this would be something if you need to run it on an off cycle. So if I've selected Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, this would be an example of maybe I want to run this on a Saturday. By running it on demand, it will not delete the schedule or impact any of it. It will simply run it with the filters that you have selected. Lastly, you can go in and edit this report. So again, you can go through each of the parameters. You can update the filters. You can add or remove email addresses or update the date and time in which it's being delivered. So one thing I want to call out is when you're on this Publish tab, if you go to My Reports and you click Publish to My Reports, this is how you can get reports delivered to your My Reports tab. So this way, if you want your report to be delivered to the portal so that you don't have extra emails being generated, you would select only Publish to My Reports. Or if you want it delivered to your email, you can do that, or you can do both. I know I'm the type of person that I would deliver to the portal because I know that I can just go pick it up when I need it as opposed to getting an additional email. But you have the full flexibility to add whichever you prefer. You also have the option for Publish to My Portal for, again, both PDF and then Excel. And again, with the email, and then with the conditions. So I'm going to go ahead and update this, and I'm going to add in Thursday as well, and I'm going to click finish. When I do so, this schedule is now updated, and you will notice that Thursday has been added to the frequency. This gives you the capabilities of being able to generate and run reports and have them delivered to you to best meet your needs. Again, one thing that we ask you to start thinking about is because we are moving to daily revisions, what does that look like for the reports that you currently have scheduled in Web Reports? The majority of the reports in Web Reports are run on the 1st and 15th of the month, which are the current revision days. And that's certainly something that you can continue to do if that makes sense for you in the future. But you can also look to start leveraging the reports in a little bit different way. A couple additional things I'd like to call out as we talk about the scheduling of reports is that all of the reports you currently have scheduled in Web Reports will need to be rescheduled or built when we move into the new platform. Because it's a new system, we cannot carry over any existing schedules. So now is a really great time to look at the reports that you use on a regular basis, identify those, and determine which reports you will start to rebuild when you get access to the new platform on January 6th. Again, I'm going to go ahead and pause here to see if there are any questions before I move on.
Yes, we have a few. The first is, will the subject line show as the subject line on the email?
Yes, it will.
Next is, can you schedule these reports based on member groups?
So when I just a little bit of clarification on a member group. If you're talking about a golfer group, so to speak, then yes. If the member group is based on like a distribution list, that will be something you will have to add in here when we get into the publish. You can add in any of the emails that you want it distributed to during the scheduling process.
Okay, next is, can you get a report converted to course handicap?
Can you get a report? So when you ask about the course handicap, are you talking about the HICH report? So where you select the tees and then you can have the course handicap calculated for each of your golfers? If so, the answer is yes. And then when you go into template reports, you would simply pick the Handicap Index course handicap report, and you will have the filters available to you to be able to pick which facility you want to interact with, as well as which tees you want the course handicap calculated in for each of your golfers. In the presentation that I have, in terms of the PDF itself, I have a list with a description of each of the reports that will be available to you as part of the appendix. And I will be sure that everybody on this call gets a copy of that following this. I can also go through that in just a couple minutes and we can talk through that, or I can continue to show you more reports if you would like.
All right, next question is, if I want to run a scheduled report on the 1st and 15th of the month, do I need to create 2 scheduled reports, one for each report date?
That's a great question, and the answer is no. So let's go back into the scheduled report that I did, and I will show you how we will do that. So when you go into the conditions, and then what you can do is if you go to monthly, you can do, let's see, 1st and 15th. Give me just one moment, please. So there is a way that you should be able to enter both the 1st and 15th into the same schedule. When I look at monthly here, again, it gives you 1 day for each month. So let's say the 15th. So let me confirm this. I believe there is a way that you can enter in both. But as a worst case scenario, to your point, is that we would have to do one of each, but I will follow up as part of the email I send out following this call.
Next question is, how many people can you send a report to at the same time?
As far as I know, there is not a limit. The only, rule of thumb is we certainly, recommend really no more than 10, just because of some server limits, but certainly I have not encountered any issues with sending it to larger quantities.
Next is, does the USGA want us to print reports each day for member play? We printed them on the 1st and 15th prior.
That is up to you. You can do whatever makes the most sense for your club. The USGA certainly doesn't have a preference either way. We just want you to do what makes the most sense for you. We do know that handicap indexes are changing daily now, so printing the 1st and 15th, you will have some outdated data, but also printing a report every day can also be tedious. So that is up to you. You can also reach out to your association to see if they have a preference or a recommendation on what they will be doing.
Next is a scenario question. It says, say you're running a member guest and for flighting reasons you want to use guest handicaps as of a date that has passed. Is there a report that would allow you to see a group of guest handicaps for a date in the recent past, say 1 week ago?
So in terms of accessing guests who are not part of your club, you will not, all of the data that you are entitled to in the template reports are for your clubs only. You can go through admin portal to search for a golfer. So if I scroll up here, there is this search feature at the top for club, golfer, or association where you can then search your guests, and then you will see what we call a public view of the data, which is limited and removes a lot of the PII information. But in terms of running template reports, it's only for golfers within your club that you have access to.
Next is low handicap index, one of the available data fields.
So we have a low handicap index report. So if we go to templates, you have a low handicap index report. So yes, you can go ahead and run that as well. This is also a data field that's available readily on the golfer profile within admin portal for you.
All right, next is, I see there's a tab/filter for group list. Is this the same as print group we used in the previous gym management program?
So when we go into roster report, that golfer groups, yes. So this is where you will leverage what was previously print groups or services have all been converted into available golfer groups.
All right, next is, will the kiosk display a roster with course handicaps instead of members having to look up each player? An online list of daily handicaps instead of a printed report.
So given that this is a kiosk question, this is one I'm going to have to take away as well. Charlie Capasso is our product owner for Golfer Products. So I want to make sure that you get accurate information on this. So we will take this away and follow up.
All right, and that looks to be all the questions as of now.
Great. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and I will go back into the presentation unless there are any other reports that you would like to see or interact with at this point. All right. All right, so as I said, there are a couple of takeaways and things that you can be doing now to best prepare as you move towards launch. The first is that you should review and identify any of the web reports that are needed in the new platform. Again, as I have mentioned, all of the existing schedules will need to be recreated, so please start to evaluate and review which reports you will need in the new platform. Second is we recommend that you download and save any web reports or data sets that you will need during the cutover period or for your archives. As we have stated on some of our other training sessions, but from January 2nd to the morning of January 6th, all of the GIN products as you know them will be unavailable as we prepare to launch the new platform. So anything that you might need in that window, please make sure that you download and have that data available to you. Before we do any final questions, again, just want to take you through the list of reports with the descriptions of what will be available. So for the template reports, you will see that we've got the combined 9-hole scores report, our handicap index history, handicap revision scores, as well as low handicap index. Most improved golfer, the roster report, rounds posted, an uncombined 9-hole score report. And then we have provided 5 new reports for you based on the data that is now available from WHS, which will be the capped golfer report, the exceptional score reduction report, the PCC report, primary club for multi-members, as well as a rounds posted by facility will all be available to you. It's important to note that we are also no longer supporting the last transmission report, address labels, internet scores posted, score posting sheets, shaft labels, and then the override report and reduced golfer report because of the fact that the override and the reduced golfer are going away as part of WHS. So again, I know I went over that quickly, but this will all be sent to you following this presentation so that you can review it as needed. So with that, I will go back. I think I've seen a couple additional questions come in, so I'm happy to answer those at this time.
Yes, first is, can you please send out this presentation as a PDF at its conclusion?
Absolutely, I can.
Next is, can you please show us how to generate a handicap index report for 12 random golfers that might represent a league or group that has a weekly game?
Yes. Yes. Once we get through these questions, I will go back into admin portal and we can work through that for sure.
And let's see, one more, or a couple more. As we look at our My Scheduled reports currently on GIN by download, do you mean print or save a copy of the report specifics?
Anything that will be helpful for you in rebuilding these reports in the new platform. So that's something that I would do. I would go into the My Scheduled reports and then look to see which filters and parameters you're running the reports on. I would also recommend that you run some of the reports and then either save them as a PDF or an Excel file. So for example, if you want a roster report or a most improved golfer, it's important to note that as of the beginning of the year, the way the handicap index is calculated will be changing under WHS. So if you do anything at your club for a most improved golfer, I would run that before December 31st to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples in terms of the indexes, because as of January 1st, WHS goes into play, which means that the handicap indexes are now being calculated differently.
Next question is, are the soft and hard caps automatically in the system?
Yes, it will automatically be applied through the handicap algorithm.
Next is, it seems like I heard earlier that you can show a hole-by-hole report.
So hole-by-hole report, if you're asking by hole-by-hole score posting, that report is not going to be available for launch, but something that we have on the roadmap for the future.
All right, next is going back to the member guest question. If we select a date, say July 1st for handicaps, can we view what a guest handicap was on July 1st from a later date?
So again, with guest handicaps, that is not going to be able to be done through reporting unless, again, you are entitled to that person's information through your club. So you will be able to see some limited information when you do the search in admin portal on what that golfer's handicap history was.
Next is, will WHS allow you to select specific golfers and create foursomes?
So WHS is the new rules of handicapping. This question sounds a little bit more like a product question. Is this something that you're looking to do in the mobile app or one of the other golfer product platforms? I just need a little bit more information to ensure I'm answering you correctly.
Creating it from the kiosk.
So the kiosk, I don't believe so. This sounds something more that you could do in the mobile app. So in the mobile app, what you're able to do is you can follow different players, which will allow you to see that person's handicap index or their course handicap for the selected tees if it's somebody that you play with frequently. So I would look to do it more as part of the mobile app, not the kiosk.
Next is, I understand that a guest won't be able to be pulled for a prior date for these reports, but will Golf Genius software be able to pull a prior date as long as we have their GIN number?
Is this as part of USGA TM?
Yes.
Okay, so as part of TM, again, I will take this away. I'm the product owner on reporting, so I can speak to this, and I just want to make sure that we're giving you accurate information. So we will collect these questions, and I will follow up with Joe Cavallo, who is our product owner for TM, to ensure that I get you a correct answer.
All right, next is, do you know what the limited guest handicap information will include? If not, how do we find out?
Sure. So we can go ahead and do that in Admin Portal. So give me just one moment. All right. So when I'm in Admin Portal, I will go in and search myself because I am not a member of this club. And you can see here that it shows you the clubs that I belong to, my status, my handicap, and then my GIN number and my email address have been anonymized. And then if I go ahead and click on my name, you can see the scores that I have posted as well as a history of my indexes. But again, here you can see the month and day that I've played, not the month, day, and date. And there's also, let me see here. You can see my score list. But again, it's the fact that some of the information is anonymized.
All right. Next is we have a ladies league that plays once a week and only plays 9 holes. Is there a report we could pull to print every week of the 9-hole handicap?
So a 9-hole handicap index is no longer supported under WHS, and all golfers will have an 18-hole handicap index.
Next is, will there be a tournament management webinar?
For the remainder of 2019, no, but that we will be doing additional training come 2020, and that's something that we can look to include at that point.
That looks to be all the questions as of now.
All right, so then let's go back to the
I think we might have one
index.
more, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
If there are no 9-hole indexes, can you still print a 9-hole report?
In terms of the golfers who are part of that 9-hole group, if so, yes, you could create a golfer group for them, and then you could pull just their information based on that selected golfer group in a report, yes. All right, before we close out, I'm going to go ahead and answer the can you show us how to generate a handicap index report for 12 random golfers that might represent a league. So to do that, I will go into my template report. I will go into my handicap index course handicap report and click view. And in doing so, I will go ahead and select my club. And then if you want to include a facility, so I will go ahead and say yes. And then this is where you would go into the golfer groups. And as part of your golfer group list, you can select a golfer group, which will be those random golfers, so to speak, that might represent a league. So this is where you would put each of those golfers into a golfer group. And when you click OK, it will run this report for a subset of those golfers. And when you click Submit, it will generate the report for that subset of golfers with their handicap index as well as their course handicap for each of the selected tees. Again, if you want to select for a revision date in the past, you simply pick the date calendar, select the revision date that you want to run it for, and again, click submit. One thing to note as well is the Handicap Index is also on the roster report and on a number of the other reports, so you can get this information from multiple reports. The key is adding any of the golfers in this league to a golfer group, and then you can run it on that smaller subset.
We did have a couple more questions come through here. The first
Sure.
of which is just curious why the GIN numbers are starred out. If we are looking for the correct John Smith, for example, how can we be sure we have the right person? Just making sure it's not going to be a headache for golf professionals to locate handicaps for guests.
Certainly understood. They're starred out in terms of some compliance that we need to be in line with. So that is why it's providing some other information in terms of what club that they belong to and some other identifying information so that you can go in that way to see the Handicap Index.
Okay, next is what happens if you need a 9-hole handicap for 9-hole Twilight leagues.
So for that, again, the golfer will have an 18-hole Handicap Index, and you can convert the 18 roughly to a 9-hole then.
Next is, can you have multiple courses for a course handicap report?
You can only select one course at a time to run the course handicaps for the golfers within your club.
Next is, can you submit that info for random golfer/league after the presentation as well? Images are so small on the computer, it's hard to visualize.
Sure.
Next is a 9-hole course handicap is half of the 18 course handicap, correct?
Correct. All right, these have been some great questions. Again, we'll give a couple more minutes to see if any additional come in.
We do have one already, and one,
Okay.
and that is there a report that will print that? I guess that is in reference to the 9-hole course handicap.
No, all of the reports will print 18-hole handicap indexes or course handicaps.
Next is, when you run a report for a league, can you select to only capture the scores of the particular day they play, thus giving a league handicap?
So what you can do on the scores posted report, so again, if we go down here to scores posted, these are scores posted based on the members of your club. You can select a specific start and end date, which will limit to that date, and then you could pull it down that way. You could also leverage the rounds posted report, which will give you similar data as well. And again, the rounds posted has the golfer group, so you can limit to that golfer group for your specific date range to get that information.
Next is, our different tees that are sloped different, reference 9-hole handicap.
One more time, please.
It says different tees are sloped different in reference to 9-hole handicaps.
I unfortunately am not following that question. So if you could provide a little bit more information, I'm happy to try and answer that for you.
Okay, before that comes in. Can a golfer be in two groups?
Yes, a golfer can be in as many golfer groups as you would like.
Next is, we are a 9-hole course and most of our games are 9 holes. Can you put on the future to-do list so we can create a 9-hole report?
So this is something I can take back to the WHS team. Again, because the rules of handicapping have changed, I will need to confirm with them, but I will certainly make note and have that conversation.
Next is, I currently have a service for men and one for women. Will these services be converted to groups in the new system?
Yes, they will.
Okay, so this is in reference to the different slopes in reference to the 9-hole handicap. It says you divide by 2, but the slopes are different for 9 holes. This seems to be in regards to rating.
Okay, this is one that I'm going to have to take away, and I can certainly have a conversation with you offline or make sure that I get you in touch with the right people to get this question answered. Again, just want to make sure I'm giving accurate information, so we can certainly connect.
Next is, I think it will be important to have event management webinars or best practices. Please pass
Noted.
that on for us if we can. Okay. Next is there a way an admin can set up a public place for a report to be run and viewed by a member? For example, the member could run a course handicap report themselves on our course website.
No.
Website, I'm sorry.
Nope. These reports are not embeddable. And we also, something like that, you'd want to be careful just, again, who you're giving access to the data to. Because if you have access to all golfers within your club and then one of your members went in, they too would get all of that information. It's something that, again, you can print and hang and distribute, or you can schedule for delivery, but you cannot embed it in your club website.
All right, next is Golf Genius compatible with WHS?
So USGA TM will be updated to be compliant with WHS, yes.
Another is, are the reports exportable to Excel?
Yes, they are.
What is the point of running a report if it is out of date the next day?
This is where we are asking clubs and associations to review what makes sense for you moving forward. It may not make sense for your business practices to run a report if it's going to be out of date the next day. But it will just depend how you are currently using your club data and how you want to use it in the future and what services you want to provide for your members moving forward.
Okay, that looks to be it as of now.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. These were wonderful questions. Certainly appreciate your participation. Please note that we have a number of training sessions still going on this week in terms of admin portals, Kiosk, as well as launch preparations. So if you've not signed up already, please make sure you do. And if there's anything else that you need from us, you can certainly reach out to us as well, as we recommend reaching out to your association for association-specific information on how your association will be handling launch and cutover. So thank you all for your time, and we will talk to you again soon. Have a great rest of your day.